You thought she was weak because she didn't argue back. You mistook her silence for submission. You called her distant because she didn't chase. But what you failed to discern is that this woman is not soft. She's spiritually dangerous. And the greatest threat to darkness is not noise, it's order, it's purpose. It's the woman who has died to needing to be understood and lives only to be aligned. You see, there comes a moment in a woman's life where she shifts. She doesn't announce it. She doesn't post about it. She simply wakes up and understands who she is, who she's not, and who she refuses to be anymore. That's when heaven starts backing her up. That's when hell gets nervous. This woman has learned that emotional attachment can be a trap when it's tied to people who feed her insecurities. She understands now that peace is expensive, and she's willing to pay the price of loneliness to keep it, because she knows you can't fulfill divine destiny while being entangled in emotional confusion. She's not soft, she's strategic. The detachment you see is not bitterness, it is clarity. She has stopped negotiating her value in rooms that were never her assignment. She has stopped explaining her silence to people who interpret calm as weakness. Her quietness is not emptiness. It's full of insight. She's not withdrawing. She's rising. This woman is no longer a prisoner to her feelings. She understands that emotions are real, but they are not rulers. She submits her feelings to her faith. Her soul may tremble, but her spirit stands firm. And that is why she is dangerous, because the enemy cannot manipulate a woman who governs herself. She knows when to speak and when to stay silent. She knows that power is not always loud. Sometimes it walks away. Sometimes it says nothing. And sometimes it loves without attachment because it loves from a place of wholeness. She's not avoiding connection. She's protecting alignment. When a woman is no longer driven by the fear of being alone, she becomes unstoppable. She's not chasing, she's attracting. She's not begging, she's discerning. Her presence alone demands honor because her identity is not in how others see her, but in how heaven recognizes her. This woman no longer wastes tears on those who do not carry her spirit. Her discernment is sharp, her focus is narrow, and her time is sacred. If she walked away, it wasn't pride, it was preservation. If she said no, it wasn't rebellion, it was obedience. She understands timing. She understands purpose. She understands alignment. And that's why she's a threat, because she cannot be distracted. The enemy fears a focused woman. A woman whose emotions don't control her decisions. A woman who can discern a counterfeit even when it comes dressed in everything she once prayed for. You see, she doesn't speak to impress. She speaks to impact. She doesn't move to be seen. She moves when heaven whispers. She's not loud, but her presence shifts atmospheres. She's not vengeful, but her prayers make demons flee. This is not softness. This is authority. She has learned to let go without bitterness, to bless without needing to be repaid, to love without attachment, and to walk away without a scar. That's not weakness. That's divine training. That's the strength of a spirit that's been through fire and came out refined. Emotional detachment is often misunderstood. Many perceive it as a sign of coldness, indifference, or lack of empathy. But in the life of a spiritually mature woman, detachment is not the absence of love. It is the presence of divine clarity. This woman has learned through painful seasons and quiet victories that not every emotion deserves a response, and not every attachment is healthy. She no longer clings to people, positions, or promises that do not align with her purpose. This detachment is not rooted in pride, but in wisdom. It is a conscious decision to protect her peace, preserve her identity, and prioritize her assignment. She understands that emotional chaos disrupts divine order. And when she steps into her identity, she begins to recognize that every connection must serve God's plan, not her insecurities. She does not stop loving, but she stops idolizing. She doesn't become distant. She becomes deliberate. Her interactions are no longer driven by desperation or need for affirmation. They are filtered through discernment. She's not moved by flattery or proximity. She is anchored in truth. This kind of detachment doesn't make her less compassionate. In fact, it allows her to love more freely, more purely, without being consumed. She can love deeply without losing herself. She can give without being depleted. She can walk away without guilt when God says the season is over, because she has reordered her emotional world under the rulership of spiritual understanding. Detachment has become her safeguard. It shields her from manipulation, rescues her from emotional slavery, and strengthens her walk with God. It is not hardness of heart, it is clarity of spirit, the kind that comes only when a woman finally understands that her value is not tied to how much she holds on to, but how much she's willing to release in obedience. There comes a powerful transformation in a woman's life when she no longer needs to be validated by the opinions of others. She stops performing for applause. She no longer waits for someone to notice her worth. This woman has tapped into something eternal, the approval of God. And when a woman receives that, when she fully believes she is already accepted, already chosen, already loved by the one who formed her, she becomes spiritually dangerous. Because now no man can flatter her into foolishness. No voice can redefine her. No rejection can undo her confidence. She walks differently. She speaks differently. She carries herself not with arrogance, but with divine awareness. She knows who she is. Her identity is not built on compliments or the absence of criticism. It's built on covenant. It's built on truth. When the Spirit of God whispers to her, "You are mine," something shifts. Her validation becomes internal, not external. She stops chasing places where she's tolerated and stands firm in places where she's called. That's why she's unshakable. This woman no longer bends to fit into environments that were never designed to hold her spirit. She understands that people's opinions are temporary, but God's declaration over her is eternal. And when a woman reaches that place where she doesn't need a man's attention to feel beautiful or the crowd's applause to feel valuable, she becomes untouchable by the enemy, because the devil works best through insecurity, but he has no weapon against confidence that comes from God. She's not moved by trends because she's grounded in truth. She's not swayed by attention because she lives from assignment. That's why she's dangerous, not because she's trying to be seen, but because heaven already sees her and hell cannot shake her. A woman who is spiritually grounded no longer lives by how she feels. She lives by what she knows. Emotions are part of her design, but they are not her master. She has learned that feelings fluctuate, but truth remains. Her decisions are no longer based on impulse, but on instruction. She no longer says yes because of pressure or no because of fear. She operates from a place of divine principle, anchored in who she is, not how she feels at any given moment. This makes her dangerous in the spirit because emotional manipulation no longer works on her. She doesn't allow temporary storms to shift her eternal focus. She may cry, but she doesn't quit. She may feel the weight of disappointment, but she doesn't disconnect from destiny. Her feelings have become subject to her faith. She allows herself to feel, but not to be ruled. This is not suppression. It is spiritual maturity. She takes her emotions into the presence of God and lets him align her heart with heaven. When fear rises, she responds with truth. When anger tempts her to react, she chooses restraint. When offense knocks on the door, she answers with forgiveness, because she knows that emotions are signals, not standards. This woman no longer asks, "How do I feel about this?" but "What is right in this?" She is led by principle, not pressure. She doesn't chase emotional highs. She seeks spiritual alignment. She does not confuse comfort with calling or pleasure with purpose. Her loyalty is to truth, even when it's uncomfortable. That's why she can walk away when others would stay. That's why she can stay planted when others would flee. Her foundation is built on the word, not on waves of emotion. And that is what gives her unstoppable strength. The world often mistakes gentleness for weakness, softness for surrender. But the spiritually dangerous woman is a paradox. She may appear quiet, tender, and graceful on the outside, yet her spirit is trained, disciplined, and fully surrendered to divine authority. She's not led by the chaos around her. She's governed by the kingdom within her. She has developed spiritual muscles through seasons of testing, refinement, and silence. Her softness is not fragility, it is refinement. Behind that gentle smile is a warrior who has battled fear, confronted rejection, endured betrayal, and still chose to remain kind. That is not weakness, that is mastery. She is dangerous because her emotions no longer rule her. Her mind is renewed and her spirit is aligned. She doesn't need to raise her voice to assert her power. Her presence speaks. Her posture reveals strength. Her peace is unsettling to those who thrive on confusion. She doesn't need to argue. Her stillness is an answer. She doesn't need to defend herself. Heaven defends her. She has learned that true power is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself. She doesn't use force. She uses wisdom. She doesn't manipulate. She moves with clarity. This woman has trained herself to hear beyond words and see beyond appearances. Her discernment is sharp, not because she studies people, but because she studies God. Her strength is not in how much she can carry, but in how much she can release into the hands of the Father. Her boundaries are not walls of fear. They are fences of focus. She guards her anointing, protects her peace, and preserves her purpose. Her softness is intentional. Her stillness is strategic. She is not weak. She is restrained power, held in the hands of a sovereign God. Letting go is often seen as failure by those who are emotionally bound to outcomes, but for the spiritually dangerous woman, letting go is a sign of wisdom and alignment. She doesn't hold on out of fear. She releases with understanding. She has come to realize that not every relationship is permanent, not every connection is covenant, and not every assignment is meant to last forever. Her strength lies not in how tightly she holds on, but in how freely she releases what no longer serves her destiny. She has matured to the point where her heart no longer dictates her grip. Her spirit does. This woman has grown beyond emotional attachment to things that once defined her. She can recognize the end of a season without bitterness, without resentment, and without the need for closure from others. She no longer begs for explanations because she understands revelation. Her peace is not in having answers. It's in trusting divine timing. She lets go, not because she's given up, but because she's growing up. She understands that clinging to the wrong thing can delay the right thing. She knows that anything she releases into God's hands is not lost. It's sound. This woman no longer fears loss because she walks in alignment. Her spirit has been trained to detect when grace has lifted. She doesn't fight to stay where favor has departed. She's not chasing people. She's chasing purpose. And when something or someone hinders that purpose, she blesses them and moves forward. She doesn't need closure when she has clarity. She's not trying to fix what God is calling her to release. Her strength is in her surrender. Her power is in her ability to walk away with her dignity intact and her heart still full of faith. There is a profound difference between reacting and responding, and the spiritually dangerous woman has mastered this difference. She no longer allows her emotions to control her behavior. She has learned that every reaction is a transaction. It costs peace, energy, and focus. And so she no longer gives away her strength to every offense, every accusation, or every disruption. Instead, she responds with intentionality, guided by wisdom and discernment. Her responses are not impulsive, they are rooted in revelation. She understands that silence can speak louder than words, and patience can be more powerful than immediate action. This woman no longer reacts to everything that comes her way because she knows her value. She knows that reacting emotionally often feeds chaos, but responding spiritually restores order. She is not triggered by every misunderstanding because she's not trying to be understood. She's trying to be aligned. She knows that not everything requires her attention, and not every battle is hers to fight. Her spirit is still, not because there is no war around her, but because she's anchored within. She is no longer easily provoked because her identity is not on trial. She listens carefully. She observes deeply. She seeks divine timing before she speaks. And when she does respond, her words carry weight because they are chosen, not thrown. She doesn't react to gossip because she walks in truth. She doesn't respond unto disrespect because she knows who sent her. Her confidence is not in proving a point, but in protecting her purpose. She's not passive. She's precise. Her responses are strategic, calibrated through prayer and filtered by grace. The enemy cannot use her emotions against her anymore because they have been placed under spiritual governance. She has chosen peace over pride, purpose over performance, and that makes her unshakable. Silence is often misunderstood. Many interpret it as weakness, avoidance, or fear. But the spiritually dangerous woman has discovered the hidden power in silence. Her silence is not empty. It is full of strategy. She understands that sometimes the loudest statement is made without words. She doesn't speak to defend herself because her character speaks louder than accusations. She doesn't rush to explain because she knows that truth in time reveals itself. Her silence is not passive. It is warfare. It is a weapon used when speaking would only feed confusion. This woman is dangerous because she's not easily provoked into noise. She has disciplined her tongue through intimacy with God. She speaks when instructed, not when pressured. Her silence is not fear of confrontation. It is the fruit of self-control. She does not use her voice to fight every battle. She uses it when it builds, when it heals, when it aligns with heaven's timing. She knows that silence can disarm an enemy more effectively than shouting ever could. The enemy is confused by her calm. He cannot decipher her next move because she doesn't reveal her intentions prematurely. She is not silent because she has nothing to say. She is silent because she knows not everything needs to be said. She chooses stillness when the flesh wants to lash out. She chooses to pause, to pray, and to perceive. That silence becomes her shield. It allows her to hear God's instruction without the interference of noise. She doesn't waste her breath proving what time will prove for her. She doesn't beg to be heard. She trusts that God will vindicate her. Her silence is soaked in strength. Her restraint is born of revelation, and her stillness is not weakness. It's the sound of a woman who knows she's already won. A spiritually dangerous woman is not just a vessel of power. She is a gatekeeper. She guards her peace as if it were sacred because she understands that peace is not simply the absence of conflict. It is the presence of divine order. She is not careless with her energy or her environment. She discerns what enters her space, who speaks into her spirit, and what she allows to remain around her. Her peace is not up for negotiation. She does not invite chaos to dine at her table because she knows that where peace is disrupted, purpose is threatened. This woman protects her purpose with the vigilance of a watchman. She doesn't just dream, she cultivates. She doesn't just start, she sustains. And sustaining purpose requires boundaries, discipline, and spiritual clarity. She doesn't entertain relationships that pull her backward. She doesn't tolerate conversations that poison her spirit. She walks away from anything that contaminates the soil where her destiny is planted. She is not being distant. She is being deliberate. She's not cold. She's consecrated. She understands that her calling is too precious to be exposed to everything and everyone. Her time is not available to those who drain her. Her ears are not open to voices that contradict God's voice. Her heart is not accessible to what does not align with her assignment. She is a gatekeeper because she has been entrusted with something eternal, and she knows that anything sacred must be protected. She is not always visible, but she is always vigilant. She is not always vocal, but she is always aware. Her boundaries are not walls of fear, but walls of wisdom. They are not barriers to love. They are borders that preserve life. This woman doesn't just carry purpose. She shields it with her very life. A woman who has discovered her identity in God no longer seeks identity from people. She is not shaped by the opinions of others, nor is she broken by their rejection. Her worth is no longer up for debate because she has settled it in the presence of God. She has encountered the truth of who she is. Not who people said she was, not who her past tried to define her as, but who her Creator designed her to be. That revelation has become her anchor. She doesn't walk around trying to fit in because she was never made to blend in. She was set apart. This woman no longer attaches her self-worth to external achievements or social approval. She can walk alone and not feel lonely. She can be overlooked and not feel invisible. She can be criticized and still remain confident because her identity is rooted in eternity, not in popularity. When you cannot shake a woman's sense of self, you cannot control her. That is why she is spiritually dangerous, because the world can't offer her something she hasn't already received in God. She doesn't dress to impress. She dresses with dignity. She doesn't speak to gain attention. She speaks with intention. She doesn't strive to be accepted. She lives from a place of acceptance. Her identity is sealed. It's not built on applause. It's built on assignment. And so she no longer wastes time proving herself to people who cannot see her value. She no longer lowers her voice to be liked or dims her light to be included. She lives with confidence, not arrogance. Her boldness is not performance, it is alignment. It is the evidence of someone who has been formed by truth, shaped by grace, and released by heaven to walk boldly, not to prove who she is, but because she already knows. A woman becomes spiritually dangerous when her intimacy with God becomes her greatest strength. She is not fueled by ambition alone, but by revelation. She does not wake up chasing opportunities. She wakes up following divine instruction. Her prayer life is not shallow ritual. It is a well of wisdom, direction, and power. In the secret place, she has fought battles no one saw, cried tears no one wiped, and received answers no one understood. That secret history with God has become her public authority. She doesn't just speak from opinion. She speaks from encounter. She doesn't move without consulting heaven. She doesn't trust open doors without discernment, because she knows that even blessings can be distractions if they're not assigned by God. Her intimacy has sharpened her senses. She knows when peace is present and when something is off. Even if it looks good, she is not led by her eyes, she is led by her spirit. And that spirit has been shaped through consistent time in the presence of God. That's why she doesn't panic, she prays. That's why she doesn't rush, she listens. That's why she's not afraid of silence, because it's where she hears him best. Her authority comes from submission. She bows before the throne so she can stand before anything. She's not loud, but she's lethal, because her voice carries the weight of divine alignment. Hell doesn't fear her personality, it fears her proximity to God. Demons don't flee because she shouts. They flee because she's in sync with the Spirit. Her walk is marked with clarity, not confusion. Her steps are ordered, not random. And when she speaks, heaven backs her because she speaks from a place of intimacy, not insecurity. Her power is not in her posture. It's in her position before God. That is what makes her untouchable. This woman is not soft. She is forged in the fire of divine purpose. She is calm, but not passive. She is gentle, but not weak. She is quiet, but carries the roar of heaven. The world cannot figure her out because she doesn't live by its rules. She's dangerous not because she's loud, but because she's aligned. Not because she fights with her fists, but because she wars in the Spirit. She no longer needs the approval of man because she's already approved by God. She's detached from drama, distractions, and deception, not out of pride, but out of protection for her purpose. You can't manipulate her because she sees through the lie. You can't distract her because her eyes are fixed. You can't break her because she's already surrendered. Her emotions no longer drive her, her spirit does. Her peace is not surface level, it's rooted in revelation. She doesn't respond to every voice because she knows the voice of her shepherd. She walks with authority, not arrogance. And wherever she goes, atmospheres shift, chains break, and heaven takes notice. This is the hour where such women are rising. Women who are no longer swayed by fear or seduced by flattery. Women who carry the presence of God like fire in their bones. Women who don't just survive. They set divine order wherever they stand. If you see her, honor her. If you are her, guard your spirit. Because this woman is not soft. She is spiritually dangerous, and hell knows her name.